Well, we are going to analyze Act 1, Scene 3. This scene takes place in Venice and is concerned with the main plot, the contract or the bond plot. Yes. It starts in something that we call in medias res. Let me see if I can show you how this is spelled. In medias res is a literary device that implies the idea that something begins, yes, and it's, in this case, this scene begins in the middle of something that has already started. Yes, so we kind of land into a situation that is already started, that we sense that there was a previous conversation, but we arrive in the middle of things. Well, I don't know if I can, in any way I can, it's taking a bit longer. If not, there it goes. Let me see if I can write it here. Yes. In medias res. This is Latin, okay? In the middle of things, in the midst of things. This is what it means, okay? So let us analyze this scene and see what happens. So as I said, this is the main plot. This is in Venice. We are back to Bassanio and Antonio trying to get the money so that Bassanio can go and take part in the competition for Portia's love. And we are going to meet Shylock. Yes, Shylock is a Jewish man who works as a money lender, among other things, and Bassanio and Antonio are going to ask him for a credit. Okay, now remember what Elizabethan people believed about Jewish people, the conception that they had, the stereotype that they had, and how much they felt uncomfortable with foreigners and particularly with Jewish people, okay? Let me see if I can find the right spot where you need to listen to the play. This is Act 1, Scene 3.
To take their leave, and there is a forerunner come from
the Prince of...
If I live to be as
3,000 ducats for 3 months.
Exeunt.
Okay, here we are. Yes, this is Act 1, Scene 3. Enter Bassanio with Shylock the Jew. We listen and then we analyze it.
Scene 3. Venice, a public place. Enter Bassanio and Shylock.
3,000 ducats. Well.
Aye, sir, for 3 months.
For 3 months. Well.
For the which, as I told you, Antonio shall be bound.
Antonio shall become bound. Well.
May you stead me? Will you pleasure me? Shall I know your answer?
3,000 ducats for 3 months, and Antonio bound.
Your answer to that?
Antonio is a good man.
Okay, so a characteristic of the way Shylock speaks is that he uses a lot of repetition. For me, it's like he's thinking a lot of things, and while he thinks, he keeps repeating the information. But he also may be mocking Bassanio and Antonio because foreigners were so ill-treated in these societies that when they had the opportunity to return to revenge, they would do it, yes? So now as Antonio and Bassanio need money from Shylock, yes? So the use of repetition could also be that, that he is mocking them, or maybe it's part of his character, part of the way he hesitates and constantly needs to repeat information, yes? Also notice that throughout this conversation that I will explain now, Antonio is there, but he doesn't speak. Because something that we notice about Antonio, even until now, and after everything that we have analyzed, that Antonio is a very passive character. It's like he's there, but he's not there, yes? So let's go to the words, yes? 3,000 ducats. Well, ducats are a sort of coin, yes, it's a coin made of gold or sometimes silver, and it was used in several countries in Europe and with different values, yes? So Shylock says 3,000 ducats. Well, yes, sir, for 3 months. For 3 months, well, for the which, as I told you, Antonio shall be bound. So the credit will be in Antonio's name. Yes, so it is Antonio, the one that will have to pay back. Yes. Antonio shall become bound. Well, notice the use of alliteration, the repetition of the initial sound within the same sentence. Become bound. May you stead me? Will you pleasure me? Shall I know your answer? So Bassanio is excited because he wants the money, he wants to live, but he feels a little bit impatient because Shylock keeps repeating the information, but he's not actually providing him with an answer. 3,000 ducats for 3 months, and Antonio bound. Again, the repetition of information. Your answer to that? Antonio is a good man, and he's immediately interrupted by Bassanio. He says, have you heard any invitation of to the contrary? So Bassanio being really jealous of his friend's reputation. Let us continue listening as from there. Okay. Let's see.
Have you heard any imputation to the contrary?
No, 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 no. My meaning in saying he is a good man is to have you understand me that he is sufficient. Yet his means are in supposition. He hath an argosy bound to Tripolis, another to the Indies. I understand, moreover, upon the Rialto he hath a third at Mexico, a fourth for England, and other ventures he hath squandered abroad. But ships are but boards, sailors but men. There be land rats and water rats, land thieves and water thieves, I mean pirates. And then there is the peril of waters, winds, and rocks. The man is, notwithstanding, sufficient. 3,000 ducats. I think I may take his bond.
Be assured you may.
Okay, up to here, because Shylock suddenly stopped repeating information and he said a lot of things, yes? And he says, Shylock says, oh, no, 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 I haven't heard anything bad about him. What I mean is that he is a good man. When I say he's a good man, I mean that he is sufficient, that he will have enough money to return then the money that he will take from me. Yet his means are in supposition. This means that the money that he has is in suspense, is in doubt. Why? He has an argosy, a merchant ship bound to Tripolis, another to the Indies. I understand, moreover, upon the Rialto he has a third at Mexico, a fourth for England, and other ventures he has squandered abroad. So he has a lot of knowledge. He knows exactly where each of Antonio's ships are. Yes. And he's worried about this, yes, because all of his ships are in the ocean, but they are not actually on the land, yes. So, nothing is safe, especially at that time. And here he explains why nothing is safe. He says, but ships are but boards. Ships are, boards, wooden boards at that time. Sailors, but men. There be land rats, There be, land rats, meaning robbers, people who can steal from you, who can hurt you. Water rats, pirates, water thieves, and land thieves, I mean pirates. And then, aside from all the dangers that human beings imply, and then is the peril of waters, the danger of water, winds, and rocks. The man is notwithstanding sufficient. 3,000 ducats. I think I may take his contract, his bond. Be assured you may. So be assured you can trust him and he will return the money to you. Okay? Let us continue listening a bit more.
I will be assured I may, and that I may be assured I will be faithful. May I speak with Antonio?
If it please you to dine with us.
Yes, to smell pork, to eat of the habitation which your prophet the Nazarite conjured the devil into. I will buy with you, sell with you, talk with you, walk with you, and so following, but I will not eat with you, drink with you, nor pray with you. What news on Rialto? Who is he comes here?
Okay, so here Shylock, yes, says, and may I speak with Antonio? So apparently Antonio was not exactly on scene, as I thought, yes, because then it says enter Antonio, but still this is an attitude about Antonio that he keeps being very passive throughout the play, especially considering that he is the comic hero of the play. But of course, Shylock wants to speak with Antonio. And Bassanio says, if it please you to dine with us, if you want, you can have dinner with us and we can talk. And Shylock says, yes, to smell pork. This is an instance of irony. Irony, it's a literary device that is connected with the fact that you say something and you mean the opposite, and the other person understands what you are saying. So there is a shared code between the speaker and the hearer, yes? So he says, yes, to smell pork, to eat of the habitation which your prophet, the Nazarite, conjured the devil into. So he says, yes, of course, to go to your house and smell pork, you know that Jewish people don't eat pork, to eat in the same place that the prophet, the Nazarite, Jesus, conjured the devil into. No, he actually means the opposite. Yes, when he is asked, will you dine with us? Yes, of course, to go and smell pork and share my dinner with people who believed in Jesus. No, of course I won't do that. That's what he means. So irony is a literary device in which I say something and I mean the opposite. And there is a shared code between the speaker and the hearer, and this means that the hearer is aware of that second meaning that my words have, okay? I will buy with you, sell with you, talk with you, walk with you, and so following, but I will not eat with you, drink with you, nor pray with you. So he leaves very clear that this is not a friendship relationship. Yes, we have different ideals, different beliefs. This is business, okay? So it is Antonio that is the one that comes in, yes? Let's continue listening.
Enter Antonio.
This is Signor Antonio.
How like a fawning publican he looks. I hate him, for he is a Christian, but more, for that in low simplicity he lends out money gratis, and brings down the rate of usance here with us in Venice. If I can catch him once upon the hip, I will feed fat the ancient grudge I bear him. He hates our sacred nation, and he rails even there where merchants most do congregate on me, my bargains, and my well-won thrift, which he calls interest. Cursed be my tribe if I forgive him.
Okay, so very important part of the story. So this is Signor Antonio, and when he sees Antonio, this is an aside. There, if you go to your text here, it says aside. Yes, aside is a stage direction, which means that all the characters remain on stage, but this character is going to say something that only the audience can listen to, and the rest of the characters cannot listen to this. Yes, and another literary device that is at work when this happens is that of dramatic irony. Dramatic irony, it's a literary device that happens when the audience has more knowledge than the characters on stage. Now we're going to listen to we have just listened to what Shylock says, but neither Antonio nor Bassanio have listened to it. So they are not aware of Shylock's true intentions, while the audience is very much aware of which his intentions are. And his intentions are the following. He says, how like a phony publican he looks. So as soon as Antonio enters, yes, he says how bad he looks. He looks like a phony publican. Publican in the Bible, they are described as the people who the tax people, you know, the people who was in charge of making people pay for the taxes. No one likes those people, right? So how like a phony publican he looks. I hate him. So this is incredible news for us in the sense that this is not just business. Yes, something has happened in the past because he hates Antonio. Yes, I hate him, and he's going to provide several reasons why he hates him. This is the first one. I hate him for he is a Christian. We know, because you have read in the theory, the difference between Jewish people and Christian people. Yes, so I hate him because he's a Christian. But more, I hate him more for that in low simplicity, he lends out money gratis and brings down the rate of usance here with us in Venice. So I hate him because he lends money gratis, that is without charging any interest. And what happens when he does that? Shylock loses his job because he works as a money lender. So if Antonio is lending money without charging any interest, then Shylock, no one goes to Shylock to ask for money because he charges an interest. Of course, that's the way that they would win money, right? That they would earn money. But it's also important to note that Jewish people were accused in Elizabethan time, the ones that were money lenders were accused of charging very high interests to the credits that they would give. So we have lots of stereotypes, yes, but I always, I have studied a little bit about stereotypes in literature, and what we know is that stereotypes are incomplete information, right? Because a stereotype is a label that cannot be applied to everyone, yes, and it's a label that is incomplete because we cannot certify that someone actually follows or that fulfills that role in life, yes. But what happens is that sometimes stereotypes become part of our ideals, our thoughts, yes, and we judge people and we make decisions based on stereotypes, yes, and that's what's happening here, yes. He lends out money gratis and brings down my job. If I can catch him once upon the hip, I will feed fat the ancient grudge I bear him. So if I just can find one weakness that he has, then I can take revenge. Yes, notice the use of alliteration of feed fat. Yes, feed fat the ancient grudge. Yes, the ancient fight that I bear with him. Or yes, es como el rencor que sostengo contra él desde hace un tiempo. He hates, this is another reason why he why Shylock hates Antonio. The first one was his hatred for Christians. The second one, that he lends money gratis without charging interest. And the third one is he hates our sacred nation. He hates Israel. And he rails, he criticizes even there where merchants must do congregate on me, my bargains and my well-won thrift, which he calls interest. And he criticizes that I charge interest on my credits. Yes, he hates that I'm rich. Cursed be my tribe if I forgive him. So a very powerful statement. Cursed be my tribe, because you know that Israel was originally divided into 12 tribes. Yes, so cursed be my tribe if I forgive him. So he has a very strong position, a very strong sense of hatred towards Antonio, and he wants to use this opportunity to take revenge. Now, the problem is that we all know this, but Antonio and Bassanio don't know about it. So they will willingly ask for money and sign a contract without knowing what will happen later. Okay? Let me see. Well, we're going to skip a couple of lines here because he keeps repeating now that Antonio has entered, yes, but he's going to again ask for money, yes, for the money. Remember, 30,000 ducats for 3 months, yes. And if you go to line 53, it says, Antonio says, Shylock, albeit, although I neither lend nor borrow, by taking nor by giving of excess, yet to supply the ripe wants of my friend, I'll break a custom. So here what he says is, although I never lend or borrow money by taking interest, I will make an exception here to supply for the needs of my good friend Bassanio. Well, they continue talking about the 3,000 ducats, the 3 months, yes. He keeps repeating, yes. Shylock keeps repeating this information. Then Shylock provides a story, yes, from the Bible, from the book of Genesis. This is page, this is line 63. When Jacob grazed his uncle Laban's sheep. Well, here he retells the story of Jacob and Laban. They were sheep herds, yes, they would take care of sheep, yes, but there was a moment, and they were from different families, but they were living together, and there was a moment they had so many sheep that the people that take care of them started to fight, yes, so they said, we have to come to an agreement, yes, and here I have written the agreement they have come to, because it's a little bit difficult to explain, but ever since, this is what my notes say, ever since they lived together, Laban's financial situation improved. And he realized that this was because God blessed everything Jacob did. So he wanted to thank Jacob. So he said, ask me for anything. Jacob said he will keep for himself all the sheep that were dark-colored, speckled, or spotted. This is the agreement that they reached, yes? And Laban thought that he had the upper hand because it's not common to have dark-colored sheep, speckled or spotted. Usually you have white sheep, yes? So Laban thought that he had the upper hand with this, but Jacob, who was an experienced shepherd, he managed to mate the sheep in such a way that most of the newborns were covered with spots. Yes, so Jacob considered himself blessed by God. So here Shylock is sharing this story from the Bible to show that Jacob used equivocation with Laban. What is equivocation? Equivocation is a rhetoric device in which you say something, yes, and you mean something else. Equivocation has to do with when you say things with a double sense, and that double meaning is ambiguous, and you say it with the objective of deceiving the other person. So the other person is not aware of the true meaning of your sayings. So here we need to stress the difference between irony and equivocation, because both of them, yes, can be used in literature and in plays. Yes, in irony, we say that you say something, but you mean the opposite. Yes, but since the speaker and the hearer share the code, the hearer understands that you are meaning the opposite. In equivocation, the speaker and the hearer do not share the same code. So the hearer does not understand that there is a second meaning, that there is an ambiguous meaning in the statement. And by retelling this story from the Bible, yes, he is meaning, yes, something that Antonio and Bassanio don't truly get. On the one hand, he shows that Jacob is very good at equivocation, yes, because Jacob told him something and Laban assumed the most literal meaning, yes, but there was a double meaning because he knew more than Laban, because he was an experienced shepherd. But this also has to do with what will happen later on in the play. But Antonio and Bassanio don't see it yet. They won't see it coming. Yes, however, Antonio, if you go to line 89, he says, "Mark you this, Bassanio, the devil can cite scripture for his purpose." So he says, be careful, because the devil can also, because you know that the devil also knows the Bible, yes, for his own purposes. So we're going to continue listening a bit more. Let me see if I can find the exact position. Let's see.
Of our holy Abram was, it is wise not I, but
Blessed, and thrift is blessed.
Scripture for his purpose. An evil soul produces
About my monies and my usances. Still monies and my... 'Tis a good round sum. 3 months from 12. Then let me see the rate.
Well, Shylock, shall we be beholding to you?
Okay, so this is line 97. Well, Shylock, shall we be beholding to you? So shall we finally agree on this contract? Yes, remember the name of this plot. This is the main plot, the contract or the bond plot. Yes. So Shylock, who is taking his time to make the decision, he continues to repeat 3,000 ducats for 3 months, and now he will answer. Yes, and he will answer, but he is full of anger and hatred. Yes, let's see what Shylock says.
Signor Antonio, many a time and oft in the Rialto you have rated me about my monies and my usances. Still have I borne it with a patient shrug, for sufferance is the badge of all our tribe. You call me misbeliever, cutthroat dog, and spet upon my Jewish gabardine, and all for use of that which is mine own. Well then, it now appears you need my help. Go to then. You come to me and you say, Shylock, we would have monies. You say so. You that did void your room upon my beard, and foot me as you spun a stranger cur over your threshold. Monies is your suit. What should I say to you? Should I not say, hath a dog money? Is it possible a cur can lend 3,000 ducats? Or shall I bend low, and in a bondman's key, with bated breath and whispering humbleness, say this: Fair sir, you spit on me on Wednesday last, you spurned me on such a day, another time you called me dog, and for these courtesies I'll lend you thus much monies.
Okay, so Shylock has a point. Okay, he says, Signor Antonio, many a time and often in the Rialto you have rated me about my monies and my usances. So many times here Shylock is going to expose Antonio. Yes, many times and often in the Rialto you have insulted me for the way that I proceed with my business. Still, I bore it, I tolerated it with a patient shrug, patient shrug. So I have been patient with your insults. For sufferance is the badge of all our tribe. Yes, suffering is what identifies Jewish people. This is what he says. Our tribe is a reference to all Jewish people. You call me misbeliever. So these are all the names that Antonio has given to Shylock. You call me misbeliever, cutthroat dog, and spit upon my Jewish gabardine, and you spit on my coat. And all for use of that which is mine own. Well, then it now appears you need my help. So after everything that you have done to me, now you need my help. Go to then, you come to me and you say, Shylock, we need to have monies. You say so, you that did void your room upon my beard, you need something from me, you that you have spat on my beard and foot me, yes, and kick me as you spurn a stranger cur. You have kicked me as you kick a street dog over your threshold. Money is your suit, so it is money that you need now. What should I say to you? Should I not say, has a dog money? It is possible a cur can lend 3,000 ducats. Is it possible that a street dog can lend you the money? He has a point, right? So because they have been really mean to him, and suddenly now that they need something, they are being polite and all. Yes. So what he's saying is, look, I'm going to take my time to make a decision because you are not particularly good towards me and you do not praise the way I work. So I don't know if I should give you the money or not. Yes. Can a dog give you the money? Yes. Can a street dog can have 3,000 ducats? Or shall I bend low and in a bondsman, in a slave's voice, say with bated breath and whispering humbleness, says, fair sir, you spat on me on Wednesday, so should I humiliate myself and just, lower my head and say, fair sir, you spat on me on Wednesday last, you spat on me on last Wednesday, you spurned me such a day, another time you call me dog, and for these courtesies I lend you thus such monies. So again, he's being ironic, yes? So after everything you have done to me, now you expect me to lend me the money. And look at Antonio's answer. Let us listen to it.
I am as like to call thee so again, to spit on thee.
To spurn thee too. If thou wilt lend this money, lend it not as to thy friends. For when did friendship take a breed for barren metal of his friend? But lend it rather to thine enemy, who, if he break, thou mayest with better face exact the penalty.
Why, look how...
Okay,
Stole.
wait.
I would.
Okay, so there you go. I am as like to call thee so again. So Antonio is not saying sorry at all. Yes, he doesn't feel bad about the way that he has treated Shylock in the past. He says, I am as like to call thee so again, so I will keep telling you all of that, to spit on thee again, to spend thee too. If you will lend this money, lend it not as to thy friends, but for when did friendship take a breed for barren metal of his friend, but lend it rather to thine enemy. So here what he is saying is, don't lend me the money as your friend. Don't consider me that because I'm asking you for money now that I'm your friend. Lend it to me as your enemy. But lend it rather to thine enemy, who, if he break, so if I go in bankruptcy and if I lose all my money, you may, with better pace, exact the penalty. So lend the money to me knowing that I am your enemy, and that if I fail to pay you back, you will demand the payment and I will have to pay you back. Okay? Remember these words, okay? And of course, Shylock says, why? Look how you storm. Oh, come on, why do you get so nervous about this? We are just having a conversation. And let's continue listening so that we know, because this is very important, yes?
Be friends with you and have your love. Forget the shames that you have stained me with. Supply your present wants and take no doit of usance for my monies, and you'll not hear me. This is kind I offer.
This were kindness.
This kindness will I show. Go with me to a notary, seal me there your single bond, and in a merry sport, if you repay me not on such a day, in such a place, such sum or sums as there are expressed in the condition, let the forfeit be nominated for an equal pound of your fair flesh, to be cut off and taken in what part of your body pleaseth me.
Content, in faith. I'll seal to such a bond, and say there is much kindness in the Jew.
You shall not seal to such a bond for me, or rather, dwell in my necessity.
Why, fear not, man. I will not forfeit it. Within these 2 months, that's a month before this bond expires, I do expect return of thrice 3 times the value of this bond.
Okay, up to here. So one of the things that you can do while you read this, or when you finish watching this video, is highlight all the alliterations that appear in this extract that Shylock says. If you go to, this is line 131. I would be friends with you and have your love, forget the shames that you have stained me with, supply your present wants, your present needs, and take no doit, take no interest of usance for my monies, and you will not hear me. This is kind of offer. So Shylock is making an offer. He's saying, look how you storm, you are getting really nervous. I would be willing to lend you the money without interest. This is kindness that I offer, he says. And Bassanio says, these were kindness, so they are kind of shocked that he's being kind. And he explains, Shylock says, and this is where you should highlight all the alliterations. This kindness will I show. Go with me to a notary, go with me with a lawyer, seal me there your single bond, let's sign there the contract, and in a merry sport, in just a formality, yes, if you repay me not on such a day, in such a place, such sum or sums as are expressed in the condition, yes, so if you don't repay me back, let the forfeit, let the payment be nominated for an equal pound of your fair flesh. So the payment would be a pound of Antonio's flesh, yes, to be cut off and taken if what part of your body pleases me. So you will give me a pound of your flesh from whichever part of the body I choose, I would choose. So this would be the payment, this would be the interest if Antonio is not willing to pay the 3,000 ducats back. And Antonio quickly says, content in faith, I will seal to such a bond. and say there is much kindness in the Jew, because he's thinking, okay, great, because I will pay him back, so this is great because I will lose no money. And Bassanio quickly says, you shall not seal to such a bond for me. I rather dwell in my necessities. So he sees the danger of the situation. Yes, so I would rather have my debts, but not risk your life. Yes. And Antonio is very confident and says, well, fear not, man, I will not forfeit, I will not lose, I will not have to pay for this. Yes, he's certain that his ships will come back and that he will have more than enough money to return to Shylock, okay? And then Shylock, this is the end, so we are going to analyze it together. He says, oh, Father Abraham, what these Christians are, whose own hard dealings teaches them suspect the thoughts of others. Pray you tell me this. So here he is accusing Bassanio. He's saying, oh, these Christians that don't trust each other, yes? He says, pray you tell me this, I beg you tell me this. If he should break this day, what should I gain by the exaction of the forfeiture? So what he's saying is, if he's not able to pay back, yes, what do I gain from getting a pound of flesh from Antonio? Of course, Bassanio doesn't know the answer, but we do. What does Shylock win? Yes, by getting a pound of flesh of Antonio. Think about that question and let's see if you can answer it for next class. A pound of man's flesh taken from a man is not so esteemable, profitable, neither as flesh of muttons, beefs, or goats. So here what he's saying, what can I do with flesh of a man? Because it's not profitable like the flesh of animals, yes, that you can eat them. I say to buy his favor, I extend this friendship, if he will take it so, if not, adieu, and for my love, I pray you wrong me not. So he's kind of pressuring them and also playing it cool in the sense that he's not desperate. He's not the one that needs the money. Yeah, so he says, look, if you want this is a favor that I'm offering. If you want it, take it, and if not, adieu, goodbye. Yes, Shylock, I will seal unto this bond. So Antonio finally agrees that they will sign this contract. So he provides all the arrangements. Shylock says where they have to meet, what they have to do. Heidi, and this is line 170, Heidi, gentle Jew, the Hebrew will turn Christian, he grows kind. So he says the Hebrew, yes, because of Shylock, he will turn Christian because he's being kind. And Bassanio, who is still worried about this contract, he says, I like not fair terms and a villain's mind. So Shylock being considered the villain. Yes, and the idea that he doesn't like being in control of someone who is evil. This is what they think. And we have the final rhyming couplet. Yes, come on this there can be no dismay. My ships come home a month before the day. Yes, this is important, the final rhyming couplet, because at the Globe, there are no curtains. So in order to show the ending of a scene, yes, Shakespeare would use rhyming couplets, yes, like this one. So this is the end of scene 3.